I am nearing the end of the Michigan region of SnowRunner. I've got just a few contracts left, and then I'm going to pack up all my trucks and move on to the next. And what a ride it's been. I thought at this point it was time for me to reflect on the trucks I've used, the trucks I didn't use, and what I did or didn't like about them. Now, this isn't going to be a comprehensive, exhaustive list. There's some I didn't even use. I might mention them. I will mention them. And there's some I didn't purchase that I could have because I didn't see the point, I think. Honestly, I haven't fully cataloged them. But what I'll go through today is the trucks you definitely find in Michigan and the trucks you can purchase in the base game in Michigan. No DLC trucks, no mods for this one. I just want to say it really is beautiful to me how the game presents you the perfect set of tools for the challenges, and you don't even know they're coming. You know, one of the joys of Michigan, and I'll get into the trucks in a sec, sorry for this tangent, but one of the joys of SnowRunner in Michigan is starting off in this small pickup truck, driving around, seeing things which feel impossible, and then exploring more and finding out, oh, the truck I need's been sitting over there. It was just waiting for me to find it. Beautiful design. Anyway, onto the trucks. So for scouts, of course, we have the Chevy CK1500, the truck they drop you in on to start. It's got a cool color to it. I, of course, repainted it. And it's a fine vehicle. You know, it's not great. It's not bad. It's reliable. I would say the downsides are it's pretty weak and it's pretty light. So even if you get off-road or mud tires, it doesn't have the weight to get any kind of traction in mud. So it's fantastic for Black River. Of course, there's some regions you can't go to. It's great for early scouting. It's nice and small and narrow, so you can get through some tough spots that beefier scouts can't quite reach. But for anything real off-roady in like deep mud or deep water, it just doesn't have it. It feels like you're driving on marshmallows that just spin and do nothing. Drives me crazy. I took this thing to Drummond Island and then the north section where the twin steer was, and it could barely move. So I'll keep using it. I think it's really good as like a, hey, mobile emergency gas delivery and repair kit, but not something that I will make my primary scout going forward. Nostalgia will, of course, keep me connected to it. The International Scout 800 looks cool. Wish I could use it more. Not reliable, not stable. Unfortunately, with the Chevy CK1500 and the International Loadstar, there isn't really a use for this. I mean, maybe in some maps, if I send my scouts out in different directions and someone needs a quick refuel or a really easy pull, I could see myself driving down a road for it, but not something that I would stick with long term. It just tips over too easily. I mean, you can't take it off-road anywhere. I think I used it to get one upgrade in the game just because it was down the road from where I found it at, and it still almost flipped on base Michigan, Black River. Can't rely on it. And then, of course, the star of our scouting show, International Loadstar. I am always surprised by how big this truck is. It's classified as a scout, but it's a medium truck, and it's honestly overpowered for its role. What a treat. What a delight. It trucks through anything. Strong winch, good fuel economy, nice repair kit and fuel upgrades. Honestly, a huge fan. And this feels like the mascot of SnowRunner. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't know there are that many more iconic trucks in the game. Maybe White Western Star, maybe Pacific P16, but I'll use this Loadstar, I think, for many maps to come. It sounds amazing. It looks so cool. This is like the quintessential truck, you know, like small truck. I love it for it. Only drawbacks are there's a couple of tight lanes when scouting. It has a hard time through. I think there's one I actually gets stuck on. But aside from that, I mean, fantastic. On to the bigger boys, the GMC MH9500. Honestly, I forgot that I had this truck. I don't think anybody uses this truck past the scripted tutorial of take this handful of things here. And then as soon as you get the Fleetstar, you say adios. Because even the Kodiak you find later on, which we'll cover shortly, does everything this can do but better. I don't know if there's a use for this later on. Highway trucks to me, and maybe I haven't seen enough of the game, not a great fit, and this one is particularly useless, again, in my opinion. Does nothing well. And then our International Fleetstar icon. This is the first one in the game that says, yeah, actual truck. I mean, I say Loadstar, but you don't get that till later on. Fleetstar is the first, like, real truck that you get, and I dig it. Straight out of the 70s, it feels like. I don't know when they're actually produced. But it's a real beast in Michigan, and it's what I spend a big chunk of the game in. Sure, it lacks some raw power and it can be a little prone to tipping depending on the cargo you're carrying. I think I tried to put one of the special containers on it that are super tall, flipped right over. My fault. Solid truck, pretty much carries the region. Couldn't quite get the white Western Star up the hill using that, but got it most of the way up, so I respect it. Love this truck. The Chevrolet Kodiak C70, I like it a lot. Again, good American truck. And when I say American, you can get that custom American paint design on it, so for that reason, the thing has a soft spot in my heart. Even though it's not overly useful in Michigan, not having all-wheel drive does limit what you can do with it. I actually underused it in my first playthrough because I was using just the same trucks over and over and over again and just recovering and driving out. In this playthrough, I'm doing a lot more expeditions, like I said, and I'm sending trucks out across the entire region. So this became really useful for moving relatively small cargo around Black River, Smithfield Dam. It's not something I would take into rougher terrain, but it's fantastic for short errands while your other trucks that are more capable are otherwise engaged. And I hear it gets to be a little better on once you get the rest of the upgrades. We'll see. The white Western Star, absolute unit, just a total beast, and pretty much carries the rest of the contracts the Fleetstar can't do. There's still a couple I'll do with the Paystar, we'll come to that later on, but the white Western Star became my workhorse for contracts in Michigan. And I believe this will continue on into Alaska. For me, the biggest benefit is the stability. It just feels so wide and low that it's not as prone to tipping when you get those crazy containers on there. Or even pulling logs. I'll use the white Western Star for that kind of delivery. Pulling it up that hill to recover it was misery, but once you get it, it's something that I spent a huge chunk of time in. Classic truck, looks great, feels great, does great. Top 3 truck in the game so far. The International Transtar, I have never once used it. I don't think I've even pulled it out of the garage. I drove up to it in Michigan because it was on the map and I had to. I recovered it, and it's been in the garage ever since. I truly cannot figure out a use for this. I bet late in the game or later in the game I might use it if I can put a fuel tank in the back. Possibly, I'm not quite sure. That might be a good fit, just drive it down the highway and park it as a fuel stop. But for actual function or hauling anything, I'll pass every single time. No thanks. Now this Western Star twin steer, I wasn't the biggest fan of when I played this the first time around, but I was playing the game wrong. Wrong in my subjective opinion, anybody can play how they want. But in trying to play this a little more seriously, I found the Western Star twin steer to be invaluable for hauling big chunks of cargo. I don't know why, but I used to always manage to tip it over, and I haven't done that in this run. Maybe I'm just more aware of its limitations, or I'm driving a bit more cautiously. But this has actually been a fantastic truck for mid-game contract delivery runs where you got to drop off 3 or 4 things somewhere. I think historically I would just take an off-road truck and do 2 and 2, recovering in between, but this has proven to be way better for me. Western Star twin steer, big fan. The International Loadstar is one that I picked up from the truck store because I needed a true off-road truck, and there are some things that it can do in this game, in Michigan at least, that nothing else can do well. And boy, is it great for pulling trucks out of the deep mud or traversing deep mud. Now, I will say it lacks a lot of top-end power. It's got a bit more power than the Fleetstar, but when it comes to hauling any kind of load, it quickly becomes useless. As I found out the hard way trying to haul some concrete blocks, I thought I had plenty of time for this contest. I barely made it because it got so bogged down trying to pull this heavy load. Doesn't do great for more than its own weight, but it is great for short drop-offs that require a flatbed in tough territory, tough mud, deep mud. The ANK MK38 civilian, I love this thing. It's like a supernova, burns hot, burns fast. They did have to nerf it by giving it a tiny fuel tank and crazy fuel consumption. Honestly, I would use this truck for everything if I could. Unfortunately, you get like 10-15 minutes of actual drive time before it's out of fuel. So for a quick, powerful delivery, yeah, I'm going to take this. It is limited by its lack of attachments. Like, sure, you can put trailers on, but I want to put flatbeds or sideboards on for those kinds of fast deliveries. Still workable, but does limit, again, what you can do with the truck overall. It is what it is. I thought I'd use it as like a fuel tank truck once, but it's so tippy with that kind of a frame add-on. It's not realistic. I tipped it like 10 times, and then finally I gave up and said, all right, I see what this is for. But for what it is, it's great. It can plow through, honestly, what feels like anything. And then even when pulling something heavy, it's still unstoppable. It's just not made for the long haul. And then finally, the Pacific P16, the one you find in the wild. I know there's a Pacific P12. I never actually used it. The P16 to me is the quintessential Michigan SnowRunner truck. It sits up there along with the International Loadstar for one of my early favorites, and it could be another mascot for SnowRunner. It's big, it's beautiful. I made the mistake earlier trying to change the paint job, but this is a truck that demands you keep in its original color. Anything large at all, any kind of heavy load, I'm taking the P16. At first, I underused it because I thought it didn't have all-wheel drive, so it wasn't going to be good. But then I learned how powerful those tires are. And then again, I saw it as crawling through mud so slowly, and then I realized, sure, it crawls, but it can never be stopped. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And this thing just can't be stopped. I love it. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's really cool, again, seeing how the game provides you with the equipment that you need in a logical order. It presents these obstacles that seems impossible. It says, don't worry, a truck forward's somewhere in this map. You just got to go find it. This goes back to Michigan being the tutorial that teaches you how the game works. Don't fret if you can't conquer something. We've got something for you around the corner to help you out. I've honestly already forgotten what's waiting for me in Alaska, so I can't wait to finish up these contracts and move on to the next region. On behalf of all of us here at Mediocre Industries, thank you for watching.